Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Mark It Down podcast. My name is Nick Cummings, joined this week by James Asante. We might have some more friends coming in later. We shall see.
Who knows?
Obviously, we are here to review the latest episode of AEW Dynamite, but we do want to start, obviously, by mentioning the passing of Jay Briscoe. Obviously, this has been devastating for the wrestling community. Many of the wrestlers in AEW either worked with or were very good friends with the Briscoes. A multitude of them wore armbands that said Jay throughout their matches and did moves to honor them, which we will mention throughout the night. We will also, I also want to acknowledge Excalibur's sign off at the end of the show, where he said a lot of good and beautiful things. It was very brief. Obviously, he didn't have much time to do it, but I'm glad they acknowledged it. And Tony Khan also mentioned that they will be doing tributes to Jay after Dynamite ended, so I guess now, and they will be putting that up on Honor Club, and I have to imagine Ring of Honor's YouTube, but that will be up for free. So if you want to go see AEW's tribute to them, you can go there. James, I think we're going to cover this a lot more on our show tomorrow, but if you have a couple of things you want to say before we get started here, please, the floor is yours.
I've known of Jay Briscoe, and I've known Jay Briscoe since I was like 13 years old. And I've had the pleasure of meeting the man and his brother Mark many times. I've had the pleasure of drinking with them both on a couple of occasions. This sucks. My heart's broken for Jay. My heart's broken for Mark. My heart's broken for Jay's family, his wife, his 3 children, 2 of which I'm sending all my positive energy and all my love and all my prayers that everything goes all right with them, because they were unfortunately involved in this too. But this really sucks. And as a fan, we have these weird relationships with, I guess, celebrities or wrestlers or whatever you're a fan of. We have these weird relationships with these guys where we don't really know them, but they have such an impact on our lives. And the Briscoe brothers had a huge impact on my life. I named my dog Briscoe after them. And it's heartbreaking to know that a 38-year-old man is gone. A father is gone, and a lot of the wrestling world has handled this beautifully. We're, like you said, we're going to get into it a little more deeply on the episode, but for this episode of Dynamite, I tip my hat to AEW for the respect that they showed Jay Briscoe and the Briscoe family. And even though this is a Dynamite show, I want to acknowledge NXT for respectfully acknowledging Jay last night on their broadcast as well.
That happened live, if I'm not mistaken.
The news was really breaking around that time, and that's a beautiful sentiment that NXT would do that, and now Dynamite would do that. So, like the AEW wrestlers, like the NXT wrestlers, I am gonna miss Jay Briscoe a lot. Thank you, AEW. Thank you, Tony Khan. Thank you, Ring of Honor. Thank you, NXT, for honoring Jay the best you guys could tonight and last night.
Yeah, I was kind of hoping they did the 10-bell salute. I'm assuming they're going to do it in this thing that they're recording and putting online. But it is what it is. I'm sure there was a bit of awkwardness with Warner Brothers there as well. So I think they did a fantastic job with what they were probably allowed to do.
I agree.
And so one of those wrestlers that was wearing one of the armbands was Orange Cassidy, and he started the show against Jay Lethal in an AEW All-Atlantic Championship match. And I know that was a weird transition, but there's really no good way out of that.
But you did your best then.
Thank you. Anyway, Sanjay Dutt, Double J, Jeff Jarrett, and Satnam Singh were all banned from interfering in this match in any way, or else Sanjay Dutt was going to get fired. So the 3 of them at the start of the match apparently had bought tickets, kicked some quote unquote fans out from their ringside seats and sat there. Then Danhausen, who was dressed as an usher, came over and checked their tickets and then called the best friends over to come sit behind them. Obviously, the best friends in tow with nice 24-ounce beers and full things of popcorn, which, side note, Trent never let go of the entire time. The whole segment, he never let go of the popcorn. Anyway, later in the match, after dodging a lethal injection, Orange Cassidy went for the orange punch. The Lethal countered that with a fireman's carry and into a drop, and then he was able to hit the lethal injection. However, Orange was able to roll out of the ring, and he went right near where everybody was sitting, which prompted Jarrett and Singh to try to possibly interfere, even though Dutt tried to stop them. And he had been doing that throughout the match. You can even hear him. He was fucking loud. You could hear him just like, no, you're going to get me fired. Stop. So as that happens, in order to tick Dutt off even more and try to get him fired, Chucky decides to dump a beer on his head, which causes the referee to notice the commotion and come out over to that area to try to keep everybody from interfering and hitting Orange Cassidy. So he's yelling at Dutt, Dutt's yelling at him and yelling at Singh to stop. And while all this is going on, Jeff Jarrett tries to hand his guitar around the referee to Jay Lethal, but is intercepted by Danhausen, who then uses it to curse Lethal. Lethal runs after him around the ring, and Danhausen goes into the ring. Lethal follows, and Orange Cassidy is able to intercept Lethal, get him into a rollout, but then Lethal kicks out. Orange Cassidy then gets up, lands an orange punch, 1, 2, 3, and picks up the win. After the match, Jarrett and Singh, who are very pissed off, go into the ring and attempt to take out Orange Cassidy and the best friends, but they're stopped by Dutt multiple times. And then Orange decides to piss Dutt off even more in order to try to get him fired and starts laying in the vicious leg kicks. Dutt gets really upset. He starts taking his suit off, his tie off, Ric Flair style, and he's going to go after Orange until Lethal is able to stop him and gets everybody out of the ring. And then, he got to give the people what they want. So I saw somebody refer to this as more of a house show match than anything. It was a lot of fun. The wrestling itself was good. Obviously, it's Lethal and Orange Cassidy, and they're two of the best. So the wrestling was good, but it was kind of everything around it that was really making the match. And it was just a really fun way to start this show.
One of the things I loved about early AEW, and I think to an extent it's still there, but it's not as prevalent as it was in the early days of AEW and Dynamite, was that AEW felt like a smorgasbord of wrestling. You're going to get one show with so many different options, so much availability. This was AEW Dynamite was a buffet of wrestling.
Took the words right out of my mouth.
Thank you. Great minds and all that. And Orange Cassidy was a huge part of that in the early days, where the comedy that he was doing, he was almost purely a comedy guy. Nowadays, yeah, he's still a comedy guy, but that's not all he is. He's so much more than that now. And I'm grateful for that evolution. But in the process, sometimes we lost a little bit of the charm of what made Orange so over in the early days. I'm glad that a match like this tonight exists. And I'm glad that a match like this could be highlighted on national TV. And I think Orange is the perfect guy for that. And to his credit, I think Lethal is the perfect guy for it too. I will always remember and cherish Black Machismo Jay Lethal. So I enjoyed this match thoroughly. I'm even more impressed with the fact that after this, Orange Cassidy is now holding the record for most defenses of an AEW title at 10.
Holy shit. I missed that one.
10 defenses for Orange Cassidy. So I'm glad Danny's not here so I could say it. Maybe it's now, maybe it's okay if he loses the belt soon. But regardless, I mean, not that I'm rooting for it. I'm very happy with everything with Orange. But just point being, maybe it's possible now. But yeah, man, fun match, fun way to start the show for the crowd. And Orange and Jay, both guys who we're gonna mention him a lot tonight, but both guys with a lot of history with Jay Briscoe. So I'm glad they were able to start the show and they were able to wear their Jay armbands.
Yeah, this was fun. I don't understand why people would have a problem with that. It was great. Like you said, it got the crowd really into everything. It was nice to be able to smile after everything that's gone on the last, 24 hours or so.
Absolutely.
So, just having them come out. And the funny part was the wrestling was all serious. They were 100% all business in the ring. It was all the things on the outside that was funny. Yep. So you kind of got a good combination of both. And
Absolutely.
And now that you mentioned that, I do kind of miss that Orange Cassidy from the beginning
of
AEW. Even Orange Cassidy before JR finally got it when he fought Pac. Orange Cassidy.
Exactly. The guy who popped up in bathroom stalls and background shots. The guy who would just avoid the fight. All that stuff was just classic. And again, I want to say, I like the evolution of Orange Cassidy, but those little touches are sometimes a little missed. But matches like this show me that it's still there.
Yeah, the evolution of Orange Cassidy to just absolute sloth to, okay, he's trying now. And not only that, he's not only trying, but he is really out here doing well and defending the title and setting records. So it's been a nice evolution. I'm glad he was able to do that because I don't think he would have been able to do I'm just going to pop up in bathrooms things for that long.
Oh, of course.
I'm sure he could still do stuff like that, but, not as... But he's still got to be able to go out and fight and look legitimate now.
Exactly.
So this was fun. After this, we had another good match, which was the Young Bucks versus Top Flight. The Bucks, obviously, a lot of history with the Briscoes, some all-time great matches. So they were very emotional coming out. They also wore the armbands. I can only imagine how difficult this match was for them. But they did put on a very good match. They dominated most of the early matchup, honestly, to the point where I was like, this is kind of boring. But things turned around towards the end. Eventually, Darius was able to get the hot tag from his brother. And then there's a bunch of back and forth until Top Flight is able to thwart either, I don't know if they were going for a Melty driver or an Indie Taker. It's the same setup, so you don't know. Anyway, so they were able to thwart one of those. Dante took out Nick to the outside with a dive. And then he returned to the top rope to hit the nosedive powerbomb combo on Matt, but Nick was able to come in and break that up. And nobody had kicked out of that move yet, so solid protection there. Eventually, Nick is able to regain control of the ring, and then he pinned Darius after a destroyer, but Darius was kicked out. Then the Bucks went up and did a doomsday device in honor of the Briscoes. Excalibur mentioned it on commentary that was one of their big-time moves. Yeah. So they were able to hit that, but Dante broke that up. Again, I'm very happy that they did these breakups instead of people kicking out of those moves. I thought it was very smart. Eventually, Matt gets tossed out onto over the rope to the outside onto Nick, and then Dante went for a tope, but he ate a double super kick, which was really nice. The Bucks then get back into the ring to set up a Darius for the BTE trigger, but Darius ducks it, causing the Bucks to hit knees. Darius then rolls up Matt and picks up the win, and then is their first win over the Young Bucks in AEW. I think actually, period. So,
yeah, period.
Like I said, this really picked up towards the end. Like that, everything I just described, below sequences were really, really cool. This is a big win for Top Flight. I'm happy they got it, and I think possibly, James, that this is going to lead towards a trios title match for probably Top Flight and AR Fox in the near future.
Absolutely. I'm never upset when a portion of a team drops a fall to another portion of a team. Usually we're used to it with tag teams where there'll be singles matches and one member of the team loses in the build up to a title match.
That's literally WWE's entire formula for doing tag team feuds.
And when done right, it's not a problem. Or, when it's done as part of a repertoire of other things, it's not a problem. When it's the only thing that you do to book title matches or tag title matches, it's a little bit of an issue.
C, Control V, Control C, Control V.
Exactly. But I don't mind it here and there. And this made sense in a lot of ways. The Young Bucks just came off of a nasty best of series. They're probably still ideally they should be selling their injuries from the ladder match.
Yeah, Matt had tape on his neck, I think, but they probably could have sold him a bit more.
How was his lower back though?
Surprisingly okay.
Thank God.
The upper back, though. Excalibur mentioned that one. It shifted.
As he gets older, it moves. But
I'm sorry, wasn't your hump on the other side?
Damn it. The right team won here. I'm happy for Top Flight. They are such an exciting team. Both kids have had such stop and go for so long, and I'm glad that they are finally building that momentum that they deserve. There's a little bit of a build for them already with AR Fox, that they won that trios battle royal with the $300,000 and everything. So I'm very happy that this is the right direction for these kids. The Bucks are so good. They're so renowned at this point that taking a loss here and there isn't going to hurt them. This doesn't feel like a what the hell moment in a negative way. It feels like, oh my God, yay, Top Flight. So happy with the match. Happy with the outcome of the match. Happy with the match itself. Them hitting the Doomsday device in honor of Jay was beautiful, and I'm sure it was a very emotional night, emotional day for the Bucks as well.
Yeah, I can only imagine what they were going through. But what you said earlier about this kind of feeling like an older episode of Dynamite where you had the smorgasbord of stuff, this was the second thing on the menu where you had this really good tag match where the Bucks put over a younger team, something
it's true
that I feel like, they did it with Private Party, and I just feel like it doesn't happen as much as it used to. Yeah. Probably because Tony Khan took the booking back over.
Pretty much.
But it added to that, old school feel for this episode. And yeah, this wasn't as good as maybe last week's episode or the week before. Like, those were two really big shows. But this one did really just feel like a really old school first year show. And I think we're probably going to keep mentioning that throughout the night here because that's how it felt. And that's why I liked it. It was just good wrestling and, some solid promos to just continue the story until next week.
I completely agree. One of the things that's tough, I think, because we're so conditioned with the WWE style of viewing, is that buildups shouldn't take too long. Like, we're used to the 1 month, like one pay-per-view a month model that WWE has. And with AEW, with only like 4 major shows a year, there's going to be a lot of downtime in between. I can't expect every episode of Dynamite to be the best episode of Dynamite I've ever seen. It's not fair to the show. It's not fair to the wrestlers. And I completely agree with you. There were some very strong segments tonight, and there was some very strong wrestling tonight. And sometimes that's all I need. I don't need all the pageantry. I don't need all the spectacle. Sometimes I just want to see the matchups. So maybe in some regard, that's how it is similar to a house show. I don't need all the extra glitz and glam. I just want the wrestling. So in that regard, I'll agree with the house show comparison. But overall, I thought this was a strong two match start to Dynamite.
Yeah. And not to mention too, like, because of the pay-per-view cycles that AEW has, what they'll do is they'll just build up to another big Dynamite in a couple of weeks.
Exactly.
So we're still getting those cycles of the feuds. It's just, okay, we're now setting up for one that's probably going to happen in the middle of February. And then eventually after that one, they'll start the cycle for the pay-per-view. So I am being yelled at in the chat. Danny is joining us. Here he comes. So he will probably connect in a second. Danny, let us know when you can hear us.
I'm mildly prepared to just be told that I was wrong.
Oh my God, so wrong. You like the Top Flight Young Bucks match? What's wrong with you?
I know. I'm sorry. How are you though? I miss you.
It was a good match. It was a good match. It made no sense being there. So it was stupid, but it was a good match.
Why do you not think it made sense? Or why do you think it didn't make sense?
Why did this match happen? Why did it happen?
Well, I mean, some AEW, this is all right. Going back to our point, James, back in the beginning of AEW, they just used to put two teams up against each other or two wrestlers because it was cool. But I genuinely do think this is going to be the start to a build of a title shot for Top Flight and AR Fox probably.
That is so lame. Okay, sorry. Continue, James. You're going to make a point that wasn't going to change my mind, but please go ahead.
Despite the fact that no one here really watches Rampage or Dark or Elevation.
I watch Dark and Elevation more than I watch Rampage at this point.
I'm watching Rampage a bit more. I watched last week's, or at least part of it. It was I enjoyed it.
I certainly watched the highlights of Rampage a bit more. They are winning a lot there. They are winning a lot. So it makes sense, especially given the trios battle royal that they won, that the tag team of that trio would take on the tag team of the championship trio.
Okay, sure. I guess so. I'm not looking forward to their first title defense being against jobbers. I know you just said they've been winning a lot, but like, I feel like what you said is true, but what I just said is true. So, you know.
I don't understand what the problem is, though, of pushing these guys for a bit, you know, giving them a build, helping build their, you know, their team, their brands, their characters, and then giving them a title shot to help them get over. Look, they're not going to win, but it gives the Bucks a defense, or excuse me, the Elite a defense. It gives these guys more time in the spotlight. This seems like a good idea to me. And it's not like it's going to happen on a fucking pay-per-view. It's going to happen on a Dynamite in a couple of weeks.
Admittedly, I understand being afraid of it being on the pay-per-view because we are certainly in that portion of the cycle that we were just talking about that feels like it's building towards the pay-per-view.
But that's not until March.
I wouldn't have thought it would be on the pay-per-view. AEW, first of all, okay, this MJF thing is an exception because that's how MJF likes to book things, but AEW does not do a good job building to pay-per-views until the 2 weeks before. They have become like WWE in that sense where it's like, oh, the Rumble's in less than 2 weeks and they're kind of just starting to build to it now. AEW does the same thing. They're no better than the WWE in that regard. They would never put this match on the pay-per-view. That's not the issue. It's just this. They just came off a best of 7 series. The timing to do this was not the week to do this. This came out of have a segment between them, have an interaction between them to set up a match. Like, and you know what? Maybe they did it on Rampage. I'm going in blindly saying that they didn't do that.
Don't believe they did.
I don't know.
I do not believe they did.
Like, just set it up. Just do anything. Because, like, I have no connection to the story. Because you could tell a story of, you know, you could bring back the story of Dante mixing it up with Kenny and the Bucks when he first got over. But, like, nothing's happened. They haven't interacted, or no one's done anything about that since. You can't just pick this up out of nowhere. It's not like that kind of, it's not a Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn sort of thing where it's like they can literally just bring it back at the drop of a dime and it be there. You know, this was like a cold match. You know, it was a great match. It was good. Maybe not great, but it was a really, really good match. It didn't make sense being here. They just won the titles after a best of 7 series and they lose. Like, they shouldn't. I don't know. I'm upset with this happening now as opposed to it happening at all. I guess I'll put it that way.
I can agree with that.
Yeah, I can agree with the handling. I will also say Kenny was the one who won the ladder match. The Bucks are the ones who lost this match. The math is there.
Kenny Fox is going to beat Kenny.
I was going to say Kenny might beat AR Fox and then you get your thing. But I don't understand. For me, Danny, I don't think I mind the idea of the first interaction being a match and then things stemming from there. I don't think you always necessarily need a backstage segment or an in the rings, you know, segment and stare down or whatever to start something.
I do kind of agree with that because it's something I criticize WWE a little bit, that it's like, well, we see so many matches get like made backstage because of an interaction that I start to think to myself, what if that interaction didn't happen? Was there not going to be a match on the show tonight? What's going to happen with that 15 minutes of TV time that wouldn't have happened if these guys didn't spill coffee on one another?
Yeah, it's like, okay, these guys have been winning a lot on Rampage and probably Dark and Evolution as well. Let me give them a shot against the Bucks. Tony Khan probably said, let me give them a shot against the Bucks and see what they do. And now they've pulled out an upset win. So next thing probably comes, I don't know, there'll probably be something else, and then they'll probably get the title shot. It works.
What is their team name? AR Fox and Top Flight. Is it?
So far, it's just AR Fox and Top Flight.
Okay, so I have a team name. AR Fox and the Action Andretti's. Because that's what
No,
it was.
no.
Just two more Action Andretti's getting an upset win over the established guys in the company, like
No.
Eric said.
No, Action Andretti was like a plus 5 billion underdog. These guys have been doing really good. Look, if this was 2 years ago when they started and they pulled out an upset win on the Bucks out of nowhere, yeah, I'd be a real what the fuck moment the way Andretti was. This is not that. These guys have been there for at least 2 years now. They're established. They're on the come up. Them getting an upset win here is not out of the realm of possibility in terms of realism.
And Danny, you got to remember, Dante Martin was on Team Taz for like a week. You can't buy that kind of knowledge.
That's a great point, actually. Yeah, he was in the same faction as Hook for a whole week. So
exactly.
That is a fantastic point, James. I'll give that one to you for sure. A mini applause.
I did like commentary pointing out the fact that Top Flight has had some interactions with the Blackpool Combat Club in the last month or so, and that's definitely toughened them up to the point where, yeah, they can probably take some more shots from the Bucks. So they're building these guys. They're giving them experience against top guys so that when something like this happens, it makes sense.
Guys, FTR wasn't in this.
Just do it 2-3 weeks from now. That's all I'm saying.
I think I actually do agree a little bit that if you did this next week, it probably would have made more sense because the Bucks wrestling after they won the titles last week, that's a tough ask. But
Kenny was smart enough to say, I'm not even going to show up on Dynamite tonight.
I do have to imagine, though, the Bucks, no matter what, we're wrestling tonight after what happened last night. So, I mean, I think it was coincidence they were wrestling tonight, but I guarantee you they would have found their way on this card to wrestle tonight. It felt right.
Given the circumstances, yes, I agree. Yeah.
All right, let's move on because I feel like we're just going to argue in circles.
I would just like to refer to one of Eric's comments. I think it's showing that there's already a lack of 3-man tags. That's not true. They're just not highlighting them. We could have House of Black. We could have Blackpool Combat Club. We could have Dark Order. We could have Best Friends. We could have any intermingling of the Jericho Appreciation Society. They exist. We got Top Flight and AR Fox. A good team, not a genuine trio yet, in my opinion.
Yeah, not like Jeff Jarrett, Jay Lethal, and Satnam Singh, who are going to be after these three. Clearly, they're going to
also known as Jeff Jarrett and Slapnuts.
Exactly. What did Sanjay do to you that you did not include him, sir?
Well, he wouldn't be on the team. He would be the manager. He's not going to wrestle in the match. You put the heavy hitters in there. You put Jay Lethal, the one who's going to do all the fucking work in the match. You put Satnam Singh, who's going to stand on the apron and almost the shit out of things. And then you got Jeff Jarrett, who's going to steal everyone's money, and Kurt Angle's wife. You know, everyone plays their part on the team.
Oh, God. I can't wait to see the tweet about you, man.
Oh, God. I wish, man.
Okay, let's move on because we're going to keep talking in circles here. And we will move on to the Guns. They hijacked the Acclaim's time and came out without anybody asking them to, because they're pretty pissed off after what happened to them on Rampage. The Acclaimed were getting their handprints on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, apparently, and the Guns interrupted that, and the Acclaimed tripped them, and they fell into the wet cement. So they're pretty fucking pissed off. So the Acclaimed come out, and Max tries to start rapping, but Austin is really pissed and screams for them to cut the music off, that nobody wants to hear him rap. And Max goes, Fresno, do you want to hear me rap or do you want to hear Austin yell? To which Fresno obviously replies they want to hear him rap. Max has Austin's mic cut off and does his rap. Danny, your review of the rap, please.
Oh man, so I guess we'll pretend the audio issue didn't happen on the last line, which was just a way of censoring him. But
oh no, it was a full-blown censor. I think they knew what he was going to say, so once he hit a point, they just hit the drop button.
Yeah, but it made the audio terrible. It didn't it didn't cut all the audio. It made it sound weird. It sounded like a glitch. But it was a great rap. He mixed up the flow a bit on this one. This was like
you really did.
The first time in a long time where he tried doing a multiple syllable rhyme scheme in one bar as opposed to just the generic punchline, short line because the crowd has to punchline, short lengths the crest over. Like he made some of these longer and stretched out the flow a little bit. So for his mixing things up, it's definitely an 8.5 out of 10. But yeah, carry on. And also, he has it out for Hunter Biden's son. Holy shit!
He really does.
For Hunter Biden, not for Hunter Biden.
Yeah, for Joe Biden's son, Hunter.
Yeah. Oh god.
For those of you who didn't see what the last line was, it was in reference to they were at Fresno State and their nickname is the Bulldogs. And he mentioned you guys aren't Bulldogs, you're just bullshit. So there you go. Since I know we're not all sports people here. Anyway, after the rap, the Acclaim jumped into the ring and the brawl was on. But Billy jumped in and he pulled Colton off of Bowens and then he pulled Caster off of Austin. The Guns get pissed. They roll out of the ring. So Billy grabs a mic, and says that he's tired of his sons acting with all the entitlement that they do, and that the Acclaimed need to start acting like the tag champs since they are the tag champs. So next week, they're all going to sit down and figure it out. And he's only got 2 words for you: family therapy, which popped the hell out of Taz and Shivani. So I don't know where this was going. Yo, what up, Jinx? I guess obviously it's leading to next week. The rap was good and was the highlight of the segment, but other than that, Annie, it was fine. Actually, that's not true. Billy was also fantastic, but Billy's also fantastic, always fantastic. So,
I thought, not that this was great, but I do think it was great because I think it's going to lead to a fantastic segment next week. I am already sports entertained. I don't understand what JAS is don't understand about sports entertainment because it's right here on their own show. God, they have the best. I guess. Okay, again, I don't want to tie back to the Bucks thing, but like, when the Acclaimed won the tag titles, they had a giant celebration segment and a sports entertainment segment that was fantastic. There's a reason they're so over. It's because of shit like this. It's not just because we've watched them become really great wrestlers as a team, because we have done that, but it's that they continue. They're so entertaining. And like, I was upset to have the Guns interacting with the Acclaimed again because we just did that. But once he said family therapy, I was like, oh no, this is going to be fantastic. Whatever it is, it's going to be so good. Cannot wait for it.
Yeah, this was the lob, right? And then next week, all we just got to do is wait for the rest of the alley-oop. So while this segment wasn't the best in a vacuum, I think next week, James, the combined 2 segments, it'll make for something really, really good.
Oh, I completely agree. I think the segment is going to be amazing. All these guys have shown that they could do comedy pretty well, some more than others. But I just got a bad feeling, and I really
don't you say it.
I won't.
Don't even think it.
It's there. Like I had my Ghostbusters moment. The Stay Puft Marshmallow Man is coming. I think. But
what did you do, Ray?
I am a little nervous, but I'm excited for the segment. And I got to correct Danny just a little bit. It's not that we just did this with the Guns and the Acclaimed. We've been doing this for months since
it's on and off.
It's on and off, but it's been too on and off that it just doesn't end. I can't remember like where they haven't been somewhat involved in something for a while now. Like the Acclaimed and Billy Gunn have only been a trio since they broke up from Austin and Colton, and it doesn't feel like it was that long ago.
They could go for the trio titles. We have more teams. We need more teams, dude.
I like trios.
Do you guys think when Max Caster gets on the plane and he's in the airport and he goes through the metal detector?
We're in planes this
week. Do you think he turns to the TSA agent and tells them, hey, your job makes no impact and you've never stopped any terrorist attacks and your job is pointless? Think he's ever turned to an agent and said that? Because I feel like he has.
I feel like nobody says that because then you're just gonna get put in a room for a really long time.
As somebody who had to deal with customs agents a few times this last week and TSA in general, not a fan. So I'm with Danny. Fuck them.
Oh, I didn't say that. I'm just saying I ain't saying that to their face.
I'm just asking if you think Max Caster said that. Who do you think Max Caster voted for? Real quick, we don't have time for this.
I honestly don't know.
It's so hard to tell.
He seems like the kind of guy who voted for Kanye.
Max is an equal opportunity offender. I will grant him that.
Yeah. He really is. So, it's really hard to tell. Like, some people you could just talk to him for like 2 minutes and you just know.
Yeah.
Caster's like, the fuck, man. He goes out of his way to make you question that. But anyway, I'm sorry, Rev. I didn't mean to disrupt things. Carry on.
It's okay.
I would just also like to say, for everyone joining us here at the Mark It Down podcast, thank you for joining us on what was unfortunately a sad day in wrestling. We are happy to have you with us. We are all kind of still mourning, but we appreciate you mourning with us and enjoying some quality wrestling.
Real quick, Eric, what you said is just not what's going to happen. It's just not what's going to happen. The Acclaimed aren't losing the titles anytime soon. They're too over. There's no one bigger in the company. Who gets bigger pops than the Acclaimed? Orange Cassidy, depending on the city, like who should be world champion at this point. But we'll get there.
Oh, you missed it. So we did a little stat that was, Orange Cassidy is now the most winning, he
has the most title defenses of any champion in AEW history.
Really?
So
already?
At 10.
Yeah.
So
what? Damn.
I feel like his days are numbered.
As champion, only because he has to move on to bigger and better things. He has to win the world title. He's got to be the guy who beat MJF. That'll be amazing. Forget Eddie Kingston. Forget
Brian.
Punk, I guess. Brian's unfortunately not going to do it, but it's going to be Orange Cassidy. But whatever Jim said, I disagree. Oh, you're welcome, people in. Okay. Yeah, no, I still disagree. Rev, carry on with the
show. So after that segment, we had a backstage interview between Renee Paquette and Hangman Adam Page. Renee asked Page how he's feeling, and he said that he's physically fine, and mentally he feels like he's gotten his word back after Mox kind of took it from him when Mox defeated him in that first match. So Renee then tells Hangman that Mox said Hangman brings the best out of him, which is something which makes Mox both despise and respect Hangman. And Hangman kind of responds that he also respects Mox, but he did have a problem with the way he went about things after Mox knocked him out, not saying stuff to his face, whereas Hangman will always say stuff to Mox's face. Renee then asked him where he's going to go from here, and he replies that he's going to go mend some fences that need mending, declining to go into any further details.
I am so ready to get hurt again.
As the interview ends, Hangman asks Renee how Mox is actually doing. She responds that he's been hurt in one way or another for the 10 years that she's known him, so he'll get up and dust himself off. And then Hangman is about to ask Renee to tell someone something, but he stops himself from doing it, saying it's probably stupid. So, James, they were purposely vague here, but it does seem like you have some idea where this might be going.
I'm not doing the bit where I interrupt James, but to set James up, a crucial detail of this that I think you left out is that Renee, when talking about Mox and Hangman, said they were elite level athletes. And then Hangman made a face when she said elite. So yeah, anyway, James, yeah. What Rev said. Here's
it was actually a solid note. I missed that. Thank you for pointing it out.
I know it seems very clear cut, Hangman and the elite, but realistically, there are a few ways this could go. I think there's like tiers of this. Like the safest option is him and the elite. That's what this is in reference to. A little further out is maybe him and the Dark Order, who he really wasn't on the best of terms with the three that are still hired by this company. After that, if we want to get a little bit further, they could do him mending fences with someone else who is elite, which is Adam Cole, baby. And I would personally love a tag team, a babyface tag team of Hangman and Cole. Even further out, you could do Hangman. No, there was another one. I don't know. Obviously, there's no one more all elite than CM Punk right now. But point being, there are options with this story, and they're all very intriguing. Oh, I remember the most far out one, who aren't as elite, but they are Blackpool, the Combat Club. I would love Hangman part of the Blackpool Combat Club, if I'm going to be honest. I think that would be fucking cool. But I would also love to see him kiss and make up with the elite finally. So personally, very intrigued by this. Hangman is one of the best examples of long-term storytelling wrestlers there is right now. I'd say it's him. I'd say it's Kevin Owens, and I'd say it's Kenny, with as long as it has to do with Kota Ibushi. But yeah, so I'm very intrigued where this is going. I would love to see Hangman part of a group again. Again, Dark Order would be nice if Dark Order is still even a group at this point. I don't know.
They're a trio, I guess.
Yay. But very excited, and a new direction for Hangman is better than what he's had for the last year prior to him beating Moxley.
Yeah, and I think that's something we talked about last week, where after this win, like we're gonna probably see a new direction for him, which I think is a really good thing. I haven't watched BTE the last few weeks. I just haven't been able to. I feel like I'm missing so much context,
right?
You know, especially with him and the Dark Order. I don't know if there's been any more teases with the Bucks and Kenny and stuff, but now I know what I'm doing after I edit the episode tonight.
This is the equivalent of, I didn't watch Loki, so I'm confused for something.
Ant-Man and Quantumania.
Exactly.
You're just missing those little bitty details where it's way better if you know what they are.
I'm tired.
Yeah.
I'm tired. There's too much to watch.
Danny, I did see, as I was saying, the Mended Fences line, you did throw up the CM Punk thing. You did mention him before. I do feel like that is the most reckless of all the speculation, right? Just because it's just so uncertain at the moment what's going on with Punk.
Oh yeah, I don't actually believe that, but I would love it if it happened. You know, it's Hangman seems like the type of guy to realize when he made a mistake, and he could be the bigger man and apologize to Punk for the wrongdoings he did. Look at all this, and you know what? This even ties into the elite stuff, because we are all assuming he's going to mend fences with the elite. He cost those guys their trios titles the first time. I feel like an apology is in order, you know. So yeah, but in all seriousness, I actually really like this interview a lot. I know Eric Grisanti in our chat was saying the Renee is married to the guy with shtick is overrated, overdone. But that sentence also didn't make a lot of sense, man. But I think it's not done enough, honestly. I enjoyed it in this case, in this context. I think it's better when you're acknowledging it than when you're pretending it doesn't exist, like they used to do in WWE.
Yeah.
For the most part, you know, except for when he was feuding with the Miz of all people.
But, yeah, right. It was like the one time, and then Renee decked him.
Nothing ever came of it. But you know, I like to hear because it works because Hangman and James put it, you know, better than I'm putting it right now. But you know, the Hangman, Kevin Owens, and I guess Kenny Omega. I'm not qualified enough to make that call. Are good long-term storytellers, but I'll say they're kind of different. Like Kevin Owens is just has such a mind for continuity, and
yeah,
no matter what, even if he has to force it, he'll make sure his character motivation acknowledges and is aware of the past. Whereas Hangman's character is just always driven by being an actual human and like having human emotion and acting like feeling how a human would feel in most situations and not how a character would feel. So him interacting with Renee is perfect because, you know, and we all kind of weren't thrilled with the concussion angle last week. But if you're going to do it, having Hangman have to go face to face with the person whose husband, the person whose father of their child you injured last week for the interview, is a great way for him to confront those emotions head on and to, help, humanize him again. And that's where Hangman's at his best, when he's feeling anything. Like, if Hangman's not feeling sad, who the fuck is that guy, right? Like, so having him go face to face, I think it worked perfectly, especially the subtle ways they did it. The only things I wish they did differently, I wish he actually didn't talk about the mended fences, because I know I was the one who pointed out, like, when she said elite and he made that face, I was like, oh, that's where they're going. That's such a nice, like, subtle way. That's such an AEW Hangman way of acknowledging it. And they were just pretty straightforward about it by the end of it. But all right, the interview's over. Is he really okay line? Fantastic stuff. I wish they had some sort of like visual indicator to show that the interview was over. Like maybe
Well, she did do the see, like, that wasn't so painful thing, kind of just like shooting the shit after the interview.
I know, but like from a production standpoint, like something
like somebody going, okay, cut.
Yeah, or like even like the sound, the I don't know what it's called, James. It's the click thing. What's that called, James?
The clickboard.
Really? That's it? Oh, okay. Yeah, the clickboard sound, or any sort of, like, even if the camera like went staticky, any sort of production-wise indication that the interview was over would have just made it, would have been the cherry on top. Like, it's still a fantastic promo that I've spent way too much time on, but I really enjoyed. This is the part of Hangman I really like, and I'm glad they're doing this, even if I think they've won me over on the concussion stuff. I don't want to watch it, but now that it's happened, I like what I've gotten from it. I could put it. This is the best way I could put it.
It's a slate, by the way. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's not a.
I was being silly.
I do have to agree with you, Danny. I think the Renee is married to Mox thing, when it's nice and subtle like this, it works. I don't necessarily need it thrown in my face. I don't need her like running out. Like if like after last week he got knocked out, like I don't need her running out, like being all concerned, unless like they're gonna stretcher him out or something and do one of those stupid angles. But in terms of like Hangman being a human, you could see him last week be concerned about about Mox, when he knocked him out. Like he tried to go over there, and Paul Turner, who I think was the referee, was like, nah, dude, like wait, like let the doctor handle it. So, but he did end up keeping his word, which is why I think they did the whole concussion angle in the first place, because Hangman said, he was like, if I have to knock you out to win, like this is the sport, I'm going to knock you out to win. So it was kind of a full circle thing with allowing Hangman to, become a man of his word again and regain that. But you are still seeing the sympathetic side of, hey, like he's good, right? Like just because I did it, just because I had to do it, doesn't mean I wanted to, and doesn't mean I wanted to have, serious, impact on your both your life and his life.
That's a great point. I'm glad we're on the same page about it, but I just thought of a way to poke fun at this after I praised it so much. How did he keep his word? His word was that he was going to beat him for the title. He didn't do that. He's a liar. He's trying to protect his feelings. He's insecure.
He said he regained it. He didn't keep, but he was able to regain being a man of his word, because this, like, he was able to knock, or he did what he said he was going to do. He knocked Moxley out to beat him the second time.
So he's 50-50. He has to do one more thing to outweigh the other, and we'll see what that is next week. Hope.
Yep. Also, what's up, Navarro? Good to see you. Love having you here. Let's move on to what I thought was like the worst part of the show. Ricky Starks versus Jake Hager. And I hate saying that because I love Ricky Starks, but this match was incredibly fine and incredibly uneventful. It was literally just Hager doing his I'm bigger than you shtick. Cool Hand Ange, Daddy Magic were on the outside, running interference the whole time. Ricky was able to fend them off throughout the match. Eventually, Daddy Magic jumps on the ring apron to distract the ref. Cool Hand Ange grabs Ricky to try to hold him down while Hager hits him. Starks ducks it. Hager knocks Ange off the apron. Starks hits a spear, gets the win. Garcia and Sammy Guevara come sprinting down the ramp to try to jump Ricky. Ricky just hightails it into the crowd. And the segment ends with the Jericho Appreciation Society looking really mad in the ring. This was just basic, straightforward Jericho Appreciation Society storytelling. That's all I got for it, Danny. Like it was uneventful.
Yeah, I mean, you summarized it. I think all I can say is the spot of Ricky doing the tightrope walk with the hat on was nice, and you can use that in video packages and highlight reels and shit. And that's it. That's all the notes I have.
Yep. Yeah, that was funny. The only other thing I thought was kind of funny, James, was for whatever reason they set up a table on the outside that never got used. So way to just ignore Chekhov's gun. But when Ricky was able to like move out of the way of a Hager attack, and Hager almost went through the table, that the two of them pulled it aside so that he wouldn't fall through it. I thought that was a nice touch. Other than that, like that's all I got here. And I'm sure you have less because you don't like Hager.
I'm happy Ricky won with a spear.
Okay, moving on. After this, we had a quick vignette about Adam Cole's return last week, which was pretty cool. And then we came back from commercial to a backstage interview with the aforementioned Jericho, Sammy Guevara, and Daniel Garcia. Jericho is really pissed off that Ricky keeps beating him and his guys, so he challenges Ricky Starks and Action Andretti to a tag match next week with him and Sammy Guevara. Garcia steps in and says that he's fighting Andretti on Rampage, and he also wants to get his hands on Stark, so he wants to be Jericho's tag partner, much to the delight of Sammy Guevara, his babysitter. He's so excited that Garcia wants to step up because this is what he's trained him for. So Sammy says if Garcia can beat Andretti on Rampage, then Garcia can take his spot in the match next week. And then Sammy gives Garcia new leather trunks, which Jericho is very impressed by because it's Jericho and he loves leather. And then Jericho would like try to shoehorn in, what was it, like Garcia Co or something like that? Or it was bad. Like Excalibur called him right out on it. It was good for him. After that, we had one of the best three matches of the night, I thought. Bryan Danielson versus Bandito. This was awesome. Both men wore Jay Briscoe armbrands as staunch, veterans of Ring of Honor. So it was cool to see that. But if you like submission wrestling, this match was the match for you. It was great. The opening was phenomenal. Bandito looked great, being able to get in all these different submissions. Bryan just looked really smart, being able to counter all of them and get out of them. So it was awesome. They did a spot where Bandito had Bryan or was trying to get Bryan in a submission. I think it was the Texas Cloverleaf, or it was that, or whatever Bandito's mentor's finisher is, which is some Japanese name I couldn't write down. But Bryan did the sit-up in midair while Bandito was holding in a submission to headbutt Bandito. That was awesome. So a bit later in the match, Bandito hit a really nice stalled vertical suplex, then went up top for a frog splash, but Bryan was able to get the knees up and lock in a lapel lock until Bandito was able to make it to the ropes. Bandito is then able to recover and goes for the 21 plex after he hit a really cool fireman's carry into a knee, which was just awesome. But Bryan's able to counter the 21 plex by landing on his feet, and then the shoe exchange, a bunch of really nice roll-ups and kickouts. Bryan then gets Bandito then gets Bryan up to the top rope and hits a fall-away slam to the mat. Then he hits a 21 plex, but Bryan's able to kick out of that. The two get up, exchange a series of strikes before Bryan attempts a submission that Bandito was able to block. Both of the men hit the ropes, and Bryan's able to hit the psycho knee to pick up the win. After the match, MJF appeared on the screen saying he's heard everything Bryan and everyone else is saying about how they don't think he's good enough to go 60 minutes in the ring with Bryan and how he doesn't deserve the title. And he thinks people have forgotten who the hell he fucking is. So MJF says he's been wearing a mask, and the mask max is fun and loose, but as you peel it away, the monster underneath will appear, and you don't want to have to go against the monster, even though Bryan is dragging. So, James, another really nice win by Bryan as we continue this run towards the pay-per-view. Another really great match from Bryan, another one of these guys, and another match, honestly, that felt like old school AEW. We had a very submission-based match between two very good wrestlers that we hadn't seen before. And honestly, I was blown away by this. Put Bandito on my TV more, please.
I completely agree. I've been a Bandito fan since All In, and I'm grateful that he is finally in the fold and he's finally getting to wrestle on such a big stage. I love this match just like I loved last week's match. this is such a creative way of building towards the pay-per-view. You know, we were talking about how MJF feuds tend to go long, how they tend to their build tends to take more time than others as they get to pay-per-view.
There's trials
matches.
usually involved.
Yeah, and I loved Brian outsmarting him in that first week. And this is a great way of everybody sort of getting what they want. You know, as fans, we want to see Brian win. Brian wants to wrestle people that he's never wrestled before, young guys that he can help. And we're getting all of it. You know, Brian is looking phenomenal going into the title match. These guys that he's never wrestled before are getting a rub, and Brian's having fun. This week was Bandito. Oh yeah, big time. This week was Bandito. Last week was Takeshita. Next week is we're gonna get to him. And I was excited for last week. I was excited for this week, and I'm excited for next week because Brian. Can I just say it? Can I just say he was going to wrestle?
Yeah, go ahead. Who cares?
He's wrestling Brian Cage next week. And your first reaction might be Brian Cage versus Bryan Danielson. And then when you let that click in for a second, it's going to be amazing. I know we all kind of rib on Brian Cage because it's Brian Cage, but he is a capable wrestler. He's a very capable wrestler. And Brian does great against big guys.
This is Brock Lesnar.
Brock Lesnar, of all people, Big Cass at the time. He does great against guys who are much bigger than him. So I'm very, very excited for this. Roman Reigns, Cena, again. But anyway, I'm super excited for this, and I'm glad that everybody seems to win with how they've booked this. This is one of those instances where they are booking this exactly the way it should be booked. And I'm grateful. I am grateful, and excellent match. And Brian won with the knee. He won with the knee. We were talking about this last week. I don't know if internally or here on the pod. But, all right, thank you, Danny. He won with the knee. Thank you. Make that move feel like a finisher again.
Yeah, honestly, I can even see it where even if he doesn't necessarily finish with the knee, it should be he does finish sometimes with the knee, if not every time. So like the way we were explaining with Ricky Starks, like he doesn't always finish with the spear or the Rochambeau, but if he hits both, he's definitely winning.
I think the difference is that it's less of a Ricky Starks thing and more of a Jericho codebreaker thing where it felt like the knee got nerfed a little bit.
Yeah.
But in this instance, he won. I'm excited. I'm happy. I'm not going to complain.
Yeah. The hype about this is real. Like these matches are all going to be phenomenal, Danny. So, and after months of complaining, Brian wasn't winning. Here you go.
He's got to win with the label lock now next because
we need.
He hasn't won like that in a very long time. He's had a lot of submission wins, but they're not tap out wins.
Yeah, was he using the Regal stretch, right? So he's been using that, but after he just stomps guys' heads in and they are concussed. So I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, so they gotta incorporate that in because just a quick tangent about the knee. I think it's not talked about enough how cool that finisher is. Like it is a red and knee. It looks great, and that's awesome. But do you guys? I know James does. So like this is a rhetorical question, but like, do you guys remember when he debuted that finisher? The knee
that took out Cena. That's what it was called in WWE for a long time.
It was just the knee because Cole never called it anything else.
Yeah. They even took a Twitter poll as to what they call it. I think there was like knee plus was like one of the.
I always called it the knee plus.
But this man wrestled in the company for 3 full years before debuting a pinfall finisher. Like. Yep. An impact move finisher. Like he was just winning with the label lock, and if he couldn't beat someone by submission, he probably wasn't going to beat them. And this man won the world title before this. Like he won every title possible except for the WWE title without using an impact finisher. And then he busted it out on a pay-per-view against John Cena in one of the top 3 matches of Cena's career. Like it was so good. I loved the finish to that match. I just pulled that number out of my ass, but
I don't disagree. Yeah, I don't know if I disagree.
I want to go back and look. I'm gonna have to look that up. It's probably top 5 at least, but 3
it's
is
like Punk, Bryan, AJ Styles. We know what they are.
Yeah,
Umaga's the top 10. But there's it, right. But
I wasn't laughing at that. I was just like, Umaga's a funny name. I will always laugh when he's brought up.
Like, it was a big deal. That finisher was a huge deal because when finishers don't just debut like that. Like, it was insane. It was so cool. I loved that moment. So to see it be nerfed was tragic, but he won with it here, and that's what's important. And I'm sorry that was a tangent, but so
to hop in on that tangent too. No one kicked out of it for how many years too in WWE. So watching it get
after he came back from retirement,
so watching it get nerfed, it hurts. It annoys me.
Yeah, absolutely. So this match was great. Everything James said, pretty much, I agree with wholeheartedly. What you said too, Rev, it looks like he's having fun. And even though it sounds weird, almost paradoxical to say old school AEW, I think you're right. It did feel like old school AEW in that sense. And I'm going to be honest, I am so excited for the match next week. There's just something intangible about it that I don't know how to perfectly describe, but I will say it like this. Guys, do you know next week we're going to see the best match of Brian Cage's life? Fantastic. When we know this ahead of time, we all get to go in knowing that. And that's why I'm sure Brian Cage is giddy because he's like, oh my God, like after all these years, I'm going to have the best match of my career. Like next week, it's happening. It's a win-win. Yeah. Everyone wins.
And I'm going to jump a segment to talk about that Brian Cage setup. So there was a backstage interview with Cage and Prince Nana of the Embassy. And like you guys said, he was just booked to fight Bryan Danielson on Dynamite next week. And before the interview can really start, MJF interrupts it. And he offers Cage just a fuck ton of money if he breaks Danielson's arm. He doesn't care if he wins or loses. All he said was break Danielson's arm. Cage agrees to this, and then MJF just slaps him right across the face, causing Cage to grab Max by the throat. Max goes, "You want the money?" And Nana goes, "Brian, we want the money." So Cage releases him, and then MJF tells Cage that what he's feeling is hate, which is the most powerful motivator, and that he should use it next week. So not only do I think we're getting the hype of Cage versus Danielson, but I also like the idea that Cage isn't just out there to win. He's out there as a mercenary, which I think adds a very interesting dynamic, a very interesting wrinkle to this match.
I mean, this is a former FTW champion here. So
yeah, you say that mockingly, but look who he's, who shares that accolade with. Fucking Ricky Starks and Hook.
Admittedly.
And Sabu.
True. Of the 5, where would you rank him?
I can't rank Sabu because I don't remember that. And I can't fully rank Taz because I don't remember this title pre-AW. I'm not gonna lie.
Fair point.
I only knew Sabu because I Googled it when they brought it back.
The night he won it was that he just turned it back into the ECW title, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. So I'd rank it Hook, Starks, Taz, Sabu, Brian Cage.
I'd agree.
I was gonna say it's a little tough to rank Hook just because he has such a short time wrestling, but in that short time, it's very high. It's very high quality.
It is not hard to rank Hook. He's number 1, and I love Starks, but he's number 1.
Oh my God! Okay, I'm so sorry. I don't want to keep derailing us, but it's too late. It's happening. I think, and this is maybe a debate topic for a regular podcast, but I think Dom is starting to catch up to Hook.
Whoa. All right.
Not in terms of ability, but in terms of presentation. And like, he's being presented better than Hook right now. It's just he's not as cool or as good as Hook.
Oh, he's been great, though. He's been turning him heel and putting him with Rhea has saved this kid's career.
It's not even just the Rhea of it all. there is nothing funnier right now, I think, in wrestling than him telling the Usos they would not have made it in prison. Like that is a rib on multiple levels.
It was so good. Prison change. Some of the online stuff he's been doing too, where like when he got arrested on was like Christmas or Thanksgiving or whatever it was, and then he gets out and he's like, "Prison changed me, Holmes," and he's got the fucking teardrop. It's so good.
God.
I think
Prison Mike Dom is hilarious. I agree.
Just the way Finn Balor was like ex-con Dom. That's so good. But anyway, okay, we'll get back on track.
He has been amazing. All right, yes, to get back on track. After the initial Bryan match, we had a backstage promo from Saraya, Toni Storm, and Hikaru Shida. Saraya is really pissed at Shida. Oh, I was like, what did I say wrong?
No, it's just it's so fucking stupid.
So Saraya is pissed at Shida that she tossed a kendo stick into the ring last week and it cost Toni and who else was that? And Saraya the match. But Toni Storm says it's not Shida's fault. She's good people. She's on the up and up. It's okay. And then immediately turns to Saraya and completely ignores Shida and goes, yo, what the fuck is with all these homegrown AEW girls? They're not that smart. They've been in this bubble for a long time. They don't know nearly as much as we do because, you know, we've been around all over the place. So Shida is like, what the fuck? And then Saraya turns and tells Shida to stay in the back during Toni's match against Willow Nightingale. So after we had that Cage MJF interaction, we then had Toni Storm versus Willow Nightingale. Toni obviously accompanied by Saraya. And very early on, it is very clear Toni is fighting this match as a heel. She's much more vicious. She's just kind of being a dick the entire time. And then as we head into commercial, Shida comes down the ramp, much to the annoyance of Saraya. But Shida, in an attempt, I guess, to make peace, she puts the kendo stick down near the bottom of the steel steps and just kind of leaves it there. Eventually, this match ended. And then I'm not trying to disrespect this match. It was good. I was just a little distracted trying to type up other things. But the match ended with Saraya jumping onto the apron to distract the referee and Willow, which allowed Toni to get a roll-up and grab the tights, the referee being out of position because of the distraction, and she was able to get the win. After the match, Saraya jumped into the ring and then just started randomly beating the shit out of Willow as she was complaining to the referee that Toni had grabbed the tights. Toni then joined in, much to the absolute shock of Shida, who just stayed out of it. And then eventually Ruby Soho, who thank God she is alive after last week, she came in for the save, and Saraya and Toni run out of the ring, and Ruby's like, what the fuck are you two doing? Saraya is asking Ruby the same thing. The end of it was a mess. The point is, Saraya and Toni turned heel. It looks like we're eventually setting up for this AEW homegrown talent versus all the newcomers feud thing that we've been expecting, or some of us been expecting. We weren't sure if it was going to be Shida turning heel or Saraya and Toni turning heel. It looks like we're getting that. So, all right, I'm sorry. I got a little worked up there. But
who would have thought Jade Cargill would be on the good guy team? Because I didn't have that on my bingo card.
Yeah, but this is a little interesting because I think it's fairly obvious to me Shida is going to have to team up with Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, and Jamie Hayter. And then Willow, I think, goes to that side too. Ruby is an interesting one because she's very clearly on Willow's side here, but she is from WWE, even though I'm pretty sure she fucking hates it. So she's got a very interesting dynamic of like what's going to end up happening with her, Danny.
Yeah, so I think I already disagree with James. I know he hasn't given his opinion yet, but based on like reactions,
I think SOP for this show is you disagree with James.
Yeah, I mean, usually it just is like a bit, though, you know. But, I think this was. Actually, I'm in two minds about this. So I'm gonna give one mind first, and this one, Rev. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm gonna need you to be open-minded and not take this personally. But I think everyone in this looks good except for Shida, who looks really, really dumb. Like, yes, so badly. Not Shida the person, but the character is assassinated to me right now. Yep. she is the okay. If I can go into like a little character of my, pretend that there's like a Luchasaurus Jungle Boy situation. How are Paige and Tony? So how are Saraya and Tony heels here? Okay, Sheeta came out last week for no reason. Threw a kendo stick for no good reason. That's cheating. They're baby faces. They weren't going to do that. That's the heel move there. There was no need for that. That was not warranted whatsoever. It's like here, and she was clearly doing it in a heelish way that was clearly going to set her up to turn heel. She's like, oh, oops, oh, it's right in the middle. Oh no, I'm so ditzy. Even though I was never portrayed as that, I was portrayed as a smart baby face for a little bit. And then this week, what was the one thing they told her to do? Stay in the back. And what did she not do? Stay in the back like the fucking heel that she apparently is. But somehow Tony and Saraya are the bad guys because they had jobs in another place before this. It's fucking monsters. Did Sheeta not also work for another company before AEW?
Currently, she is the champion in other companies.
Yeah, so whose side is she really on? Here. But in all seriousness, I was a big fan of this because you know what? I'm not a fan of how we got here. I blame the fans on that. Why can't a wrestler come back from a career-ending injury without having to turn heel within a fucking year? What? I don't understand.
A year. It's been about 3 months.
I know it's getting less and less. We can't. It's getting worse. Are we that bad? Are we the baddies? Like are we that like
fickle?
Yeah. Fickle. That's what I think it is, bro. Like, and I feel like me and Rev are always defending Tony Storm against Chad and James, who hate foreigners apparently. But she's gotten screwed the most. She got screwed because Thunder Rosa didn't do the job when she should have, and look how all of this is kind of Thunder Rosa's fault if she didn't muddle up the women's division for so long, because Tony came in, she was over, she has some good matches. If she just beat Thunder at Forbidden Door, we don't have a lot of these problems. Like then she just has a good run, and then it goes to Jamie. Like this is just a. And if Britt, Britt's, I'm gonna say this criticism of Britt, even though she's my favorite in the whole division. If she would stop being a cool heel and just be a heel, and get the baby faces over, this would be a better thing. But in all seriousness, I'm glad they are going with it. I like the way they went about it. I am a big fan of this because Toni Storm went from being someone who just was likable. She just had a likable face and like presence and personality to like, oh, she spoke as a heel for 15 seconds. I was like, oh, this is great. This is actually really good. Like, and the Saraya is good either way. She can do either role. But I think she'll thrive in this role. I think what you said about the Ruby of it all is the very interesting part. I would like for her to turn heel because I feel like the crowd also got fickle with her at one point for a homegrown talent of Chris Statlander when they had their match in the Owen. So she has every reason to turn on the homegrown talent as well. And I hope she does. I hope they play it out for a couple weeks, but she eventually does turn on them. But it will be weird to see the homegrown talent of all get along and be on the babyface team. But I'm excited for this. It's something different. It's interesting. We have someone, Hobo Johnson's in the chat to say Chad doesn't hate foreigners. Yeah. Why don't you like Toni Storm then, huh? Because that's the only reason I could think of. All right. Like I can't think of any other reason. So anyway, James, you have opinions on this? Or Rev, you want to talk about how right we are in the situation before we throw it to James?
Yeah. Well, what I was going to say is I'll allow James to recompose himself. Is I do think part of the reason they are doing this is Jamie is so over right now. They cannot get her booed. And I think as an extension, Britt is now also, getting cheered a lot, even though when they do the beatdowns and stuff post-match, yeah, they get booed. But for motherfucking Jamie's really over. And I think it's just way easier to just lean into this and get Toni Storm and Saraya booed because it's a lot easier to get them booed. If you beat up Willow Nightingale, you're a heel and you're getting booed. There's that. So I think that's the dynamic here. And so it's going to be cool watching, assuming Sheeta is on their side, obviously, and then Willow, who have had beef with Jamie and Britt, all try to coexist. And I know that, it's the can they coexist Michael Cole line, but that's a very interesting dynamic. You have all the ex-WWE women together, which is going to be cool. I'm looking forward to this. I think it's going to be good. And you mentioned her, Danny. I hope Statlander is eventually back soon so she can make a big save.
Yeah. Also,
why do you want her to get injured again, Nick?
Why would I want Stat to get injured? I said I want.
I agree. I mean, yeah, if she comes back, she's probably gonna get injured, but I don't care. I want her to come back. You're not wrong. James was a great joke. But I had something I wanted to say before James took the floor, but I've lost it.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. Go ahead, James. You have opinions on this, or like?
I do. But the most important thing I gotta say is I love the chain, Danny.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
I love it. I love this look for you. Make it happen more often. Second of all, I enjoy where this is going. I was the first person to say I think Saraya needed to turn heel. I said on the second week she was there, she needed to turn heel because that promo was heelish as fuck.
Yeah, so he's right.
I think they just kind of flip-flopped a little bit on whether or not they were going to go in that direction or not, but we're here now, and I'm cool with it.
They shouldn't have had to go in that direction, though.
I'm sorry. I blame Saraya above anybody else. I don't think the crowd was wrong for being like, that's a weird fucking promo. You're kind of acting like a bitch. And like, she was. She actively was. And you asked the question before, how are Tony and Saraya the heels here when Sheeta was the one who
Oh, wait, okay. I know what you're going to say. I know what you're going to say. It's because they're both foreigners. I just realized that. And that's why. Oh my God. I just put that together.
You cracked it. But realistically, they're acting like they're better than other people. That is just heel 101. That's what makes them the heel. They're shit. It's what made Brian a heel when he was the Eco champion.
Yeah.
What you're saying is not bad. It's how you're saying it that makes you an asshole. And that is what Saraya and Tony are doing right now. What they're saying isn't inherently bad. They just sound like assholes.
Because they're foreigners. Why do you keep going down this path?
What is it? The accents, James? Is that what it is? Is it the accents?
Exactly.
It's just been conditioned by Hollywood to hear Australians and British people as just villains. Is that what it is?
I mean, have you met a
you digging this hole, man.
I don't think I am. But
it's not what they're saying, it's how they say it.
Oh my God.
Did you just say, have you met a good one?
Wade Barrett, bad guy. Tony Storm, bad guy now. Marty Scurll, a villain in every sense of the word.
Okay. Drew's a face, and he's
Scottish.
Scottish, yeah. So
Luchasaurus is a dinosaur. That's foreign, but he's a face, so that's at least one.
Well, it depends on what part of Pangea he grew up in, probably.
This bitch don't know about Pangea, but anyway. Always a little Dicky quote. But anyway.
Not where I was expecting that to go.
I was really looking forward to Sheeta turning heel. I kind of still hope she does, but I think we're past that at this point. Santino Marella was Canadian. I'm getting so off track here.
Wait, time out. No, that man is an Italian hero. What are you talking about?
He's Italian. I know what you're talking about. We have such little representation in wrestling. Just don't take this one away from us.
We had the full-blooded Italians for like a minute. But anyway, I wanted Sheeta to turn heel because I feel like she's just sort of been stuck, and I think a heel turn would have suited her very well. I'm fine with these two turning heel, even though I think Tony turning heel was a little out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It felt a little sudden, but whatever. I'd be shocked if I see Ruby turn, though. Ruby and Willow just went to war together.
Yeah.
And it would feel weird after that for her to turn on Willow.
Yeah, I agree. And especially because I actually watched Rampage on Friday. I watched that match live. That match was brutal.
It was incredible. It was scary, and I'm glad everyone's safe after that match.
Ruby had so much blood. I think I've said in our chat, I was like, I have a newfound respect for Ruby Soho after this match.
Oh, absolutely. All of them. Anna Jay, Ty, Willow, all 4 of them. Willow wrestled the next day.
Yeah. And again tonight.
It's incredible what they all accomplished. So it would be weird for me to see them turn heel, or to see Ruby turn heel. And I do think it adds an extra wrinkle to the story where Ruby says, I don't think I'm better than them because I came from another place. You're just an asshole. And I would love to see that. And then I would love to see Mercedes Moné come back or come in and just take on Saraya and like vie again. But
what? No.
Oh, I think she would side with Saraya.
Yeah, she would side with them. She is way more likely to be on the heel side of that.
I was more joking about Mercedes being the one to retire Saraya in the first.
Yeah.
But regardless of anything,
no, but they team up first, right? And then they have a tiff, and then she could be like, I put my neck out for you, and this is what you do to me, you know?
Eric in the chat goes AEW homegrown versus outsiders in Stadium Stampede. I was actually going to perhaps.
I kind of like that. Actually,
I was going to say Blood and Guts.
No, Stadium Stampede. Stadium Stampede. I'm kind of on board for that. Blood and Guts. I just feel like we're never going to get it the way they envisioned it. And I'd rather get Stadium Stampede. So let's real quick. What are these teams here for? I think, okay, I do think we get Ruby is torn and eventually joins the Outsiders because, again, she has felt the same sort of backlash from the crowd here or there. And the same, like, there's motivation there. Yeah, she's just teaming with Willow, but like, what does that get in her? She hasn't done anything. She's getting there. She's pretty much in the same boat she was in WWE. Like, there's something there they can do, and then her and Saraya can have like a funny conversation about how they both started factions the same week that were almost identical. You know, there's stuff there, and then Mandy can come in and join them. There's so much. I'm actually into the Stadium Stampede thing.
It would, admittedly, a Stadium Stampede would give them a bit more protection with Saraya as opposed to Blood and Guts, because obviously that's live. Whereas Stadium Stampede, they tape it and you can work around some things with her in order to protect her neck.
Yeah, and you got to protect Anna Jay right now. Holy shit, bro. Like that fucking powerbomb.
I mean, yeah. Yeah, I mean, obviously there are a lot of AEW originals around that you could use, you know. So obviously you have Sheeta and then Britt and Jamie, I would think. Well, not even originals, homegrown. But then like you do have Anna and Ty. They're there, but I don't think
no, they got to be outside of it because they're here.
Yeah, I don't think they would get involved. I think Statlander is your fifth if she's healthy.
The talent involved right now are Britt, Hayter, Ruby, Willow, Sheeta, Saraya, Tony. You need one more.
Yeah. For 4-on-4?
Yeah. No matter what, Blood and Guts or Stadium Stampede.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking they usually go 5-on-5 with those, don't they?
Theoretic. Well, no, the Elite. Yeah, the Elite was the Stadium Stampede was 5. Yeah.
Yeah, because they had Matt Hardy.
Thank you.
Well, see, here's the thing. I know, like, I think me and you, Rev, were kind of on the same page about going about this, but for James, it's not going to make any sense because he would have to have Tony, Saraya, Sheeta, and Hayter on the same team because they're 4 and they're all the bad guys to him. So
I don't like this. I like Sheeta. I like Hayter.
Now I think So I don't think Ruby turns Danny. I think she stays
because she's American. Okay, I got you.
No, so I think you have Britt, Jamie, Sheeta, Willow, and Ruby probably against Tony, Saraya, and then I guess I don't know who else they would get though. So maybe Ruby does have to turn just for numbers.
Wait, what?
And because she wouldn't be a homegrown, like it just. I'd rather her, if she's not going to join them, just not be involved than be on the team. Even though I'd be interested to see her and Britt reluctantly team up, and that is the interesting part of this. But I don't know. Maybe Ruby stays and Britt turns because Britt's got to still turn on Hayter at some fucking point. That's also part of the problem with that's dragged down Storm and Saraya into having to turn heel. But
Maybe
she's got to turn on her eventually. But anyway, we spent a lot of time on this. But
did.
that's because I actually think it was an interesting segment with a lot of potential.
Yeah, it was incredibly intriguing, and like you said, a lot of potential. I did not point this out in the beginning. I do agree. What happened with Sheeta was stupid. She looks stupid, but I think she can recover. I also saw somebody on Reddit say Sheeta should just like go full blown like vigilante justice Sting style and just start taking motherfuckers out left and right. And I think that would be really cool for her as well. Black suit Sheeta.
Take them all out.
Yep. Okay. I have no idea where we
he's
are.
talking about foreigners when he says take them all out.
All right.
No, I wasn't. I swear.
James, is there a wall you would like to build somewhere?
We were talking about who Caster voted for earlier.
I would like to move on, please.
Okay. So we will move on to another foreigner, even though he's Canadian. Ethan Page had a promo with Stokely Hathaway.
I like Ethan Page.
They're still really pissed off about losing. The Firms lost to Jungle Boy and Hook last week. So Ethan Page is coming back from wherever he's been, I guess Rampage. He's coming back from making Hardy Party's Life a Living Hell to take care of Jungle Boy. After that, we had a backstage interview with Takeshita, but with Renee. And this interview was 30 seconds and absolutely phenomenal. So Takeshita said that he loved wrestling Bryan last week because Bryan is his hero. So now he's going to have Bryan's back against MJF because he fucking hates MJF. He then says something in Japanese, and Renee asked him what it means, and he just deadpans, MJF is an asshole. And that was the promo, and it was amazing. I'm very much enjoying Takeshita just saying a bunch of really long stuff in Japanese and then just really condensing it for the English. And his English, I don't know if he's learning it now or he's learned it for a while, but it's good. So I'm glad they're utilizing both of his languages. And I think they tend to do that well when it comes to people who speak multiple languages. So
I want to also touch on what happened with Takeshita on Rampage.
Please do. I did miss that match, unfortunately.
It wasn't a match. It was a segment. He was interacting with Don Callis. And going back a little bit, I know a lot of people might have missed it or might not remember it, but Takeshita was originally introduced as Kenny Omega's tag team partner. And his first appearance in AEW was as Kenny's tag partner.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So there is a little bit of history there. We do tend to forget Takeshita came from DDT, where Kenny Omega really started to make a name for himself legitimately in Japan. So
yeah, he fought that little girl there, right?
Amongst other things. All right. I don't know if you've watched that match. I
have. It's phenomenal. It's absolutely phenomenal. It also
incredible.
Got Kenny banned from the United States one time.
It got him banned from Cornette's podcast too. But
that was on BTE people. He didn't actually get banned in the US.
It may lead to Takeshita being part of the elite. Or being he does have
friendly.
At the very least, he might be getting courted. Because now he has this relationship with Bryan Danielson, so maybe BCC, maybe he has this relationship with Kenny Omega, and he's being scouted by Don Callis.
He's got passed with Mox as well. They had a match when Mox was champ.
They had a couple matches, I think.
Yeah, they did because Takeshita fought Eddie Kingston on Rampage, and he lost. And Mox was like, "I don't care if he lost. I want to fight that guy."
Yeah.
He's got a bunch of different. It's got a lot of fingers and a lot of pies. Let's put it that way. So it'll be interesting to see if there's like a whole courtship thing. Maybe somebody tries to recruit him. Maybe he just sticks out on his own. I mean, he's awesome. I love watching him. I hope he starts picking up some wins. Honestly, he's like low key one of my new favorite wrestlers. Not that he's new, but at least in AEW.
Yeah.
All right. And we finally come to the main event. And actually, before I do, apparently Hojo detects lies, James. No one likes Ethan Page.
Got him.
got heat.
Also, Eric said the match against the little girl was Kenny's only good match. So
We didn't need to acknowledge it.
Wait, did he ever fight? Because I know they do this in Japan sometimes. And the dummy or the blow up doll. Yeah,
I feel like he did, but it's not as prominent for him.
Okay,
Like,
I always love seeing those clips.
Ibushi has a prominent one with the blow up doll.
All right, quick side. I love DDT. They do some crazy ass shit. Like they fight in the woods, they fight in the street. Ibushi has a video where he's literally just walking down an alley and then a bunch of people sneak up with a ring behind him and a match starts. And DDT is fucking, it's like the Eric Andre show of wrestling. It's ridiculous.
Well put.
All right, let us finally get to this main event, which was Darby Allin versus Kushida for the TNT Championship. Sting was there, and he came out with Darby, and Tony Schiavone forgot to yell, "It's Sting!" And Excalibur and Taz had to remind him, and then we're like broken for 5 good minutes. So that was pretty good. Anyway, really cool seeing Kushida in AEW. I do believe it's his first match in the company. He's obviously back in New Japan after leaving NXT. So he spent most of the early match just absolutely destroying Darby's shoulder. He's in complete control of the match. Eventually, Darby is able to stop his momentum, though, with a Scorpion Death Drop. Yes, boys and girls, Darby is using the Scorpion Death Drop. Apparently, he won on Friday on Rampage with that move, which is really cool. I forgot who we faced. No, it's this
Juice Robinson.
Thank you, it was Juice. But but it was from, I think, the second rope. Anyway. So Kushida is eventually able to take back control, get into more offense on the shoulder, and then Darby is able to hit a Stun Dog Millionaire on the apron. Darby then grabs the metal chair and sits Kushida down on it, and he goes for a shotgun dropkick. But Kushida makes a sick reversal, counters, locks in the arm bar and on the outside, and holds it for basically the entire 10 count until eventually he has to break it and get Darby in the ring so he can win in there. That counter, I am not underselling it. He like mid-air grabbed Darby's arm and fell back into the armbar while somehow getting the chair out of the way. It was fucking awesome. So eventually Kushida lands a top rope slam and then goes for the hoverboard lock. He gets it in, but Darby is able to get an S-grip with his hand, so it's not fully in, and Darby can block. On the outside, a couple of the young lions from the New Japan LA Dojo that had come out with Kushida, they give Sting a towel so that Sting can throw the towel in for Darby, but Sting looks at it and then throws it into the crowd. Darby is then able to escape the hoverboard lock. Kushida goes to lock it back in, but Darby is able to counter with the Last Supper, and he's able to get the win. After the match, Kushida and Darby go to shake hands, and Kushida gestures that he wants one more match, to which Darby seemingly agrees, even though he didn't give Kushida the pinky promise that he asked for.
His arm was shot.
Fair point. But James, this was a good finale, I think, of the show. It wasn't the best match on the card because I think Bryan versus Bandito was. That match was amazing, but it was still really good. It was a good title match. Like I said, it was cool seeing Kushida in AEW, and just, you know, it was more of a, I guess, like a junior heavyweight type match. Obviously, these being smaller guys, and just another variation of the style of match on this card.
No, I completely agree. I am a huge Kushida mark. I'd argue that no company that he's been in or has been a part of has truly utilized him to his full potential.
I would agree with that because I like him. I think he's a good wrestler. I just can't figure out why I like him. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like he's just always kind of there and doing something, and I'm like, oh, that was a really good match, and it's like, but I can't quite put my finger on why I don't think he's better or as good as he actually is.
He's never so he's presented as one of the best juniors or cruiserweights, no matter the company he's in. He's a 6-time IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion. He's a WWE Cruiserweight Champion, and he had a shot at the X Division Championship against Speedball Mike Bailey, who's low-key one of the wrestlers of the year. And
did he win Bola?
I don't know. I don't know who won Bola, actually.
I'm going to check that. I think he did.
But regardless, Kushida is an incredible talent. And to answer your question as to why you don't feel he's as important, or you don't know why you like him, he's just cool, but he's never given the chance to be in the heavyweight division to feel like a big deal. So here in AEW, I was just super excited to see him have this match. He and Darby blew the roof off, in my opinion. That catch to the outside with that armbar was next level amazing. They acknowledged it on commentary. The people he's beaten to be champion in New Japan, he's beaten Kenny Omega, and love this match. Love the catch. Love Darby. I love the interaction with Sting in the towel.
You're a towel.
Great match, great main event, and I won't lie, I love Darby. I was very okay with Kushida possibly winning this match.
Yeah, and I think Kushida looked phenomenal in the defeat. I mean, he dominated this match. Darby just got him with the Last Supper. It happened. I did look. Mike Bailey made it to the finals of this year's Bola, and he lost to Daniel Garcia, which is, I guess, why Jericho showed up there. Yep. Also, not only that, I did not realize by winning Bola, Garcia got a shot at Bandito for the PWG championship, and he won that. So yep. Garcia's PWG champ. I had no idea. It's pretty cool. Yeah, no, I like I said, I agree with everything you just said. The thing with Kushida is absolutely spot on. It finally clicks in my head now. Danny, what'd you think about this match?
Well, before I say that, let me ask you guys a question.
Oh boy.
How many times do you think Darby's watched The Nightmare Before Christmas in his life?
That feels like the movie he would have on long road trips.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where it's just on, and then he eventually wore the VHS out, assuming he's old enough to have a VHS.
He looks like one of the three, like Lock, Shock, and Barrel. He looks like the one with the long face.
Okay, I know which one that is.
Yeah, okay.
The red one.
Yeah, no, I've never seen that movie.
Okay.
What? Wait, no, fuck wrestling. What?
Yeah, I'm not a huge Tim Burton guy, so I've never seen
He didn't direct it!
Wait, who did? Wait, I thought that was a Tim Burton movie.
It's a lie. It's a fallacy. Tim Burton put his name on it as a producer, and he gets all the credit. He didn't direct the movie.
Who did?
Bastard.
So you don't even know.
Because all I get is Tim Burton. All I get is Tim Burton. Hold on.
It's literally Tim Burton's A Nightmare Before Christmas, is it not?
It doesn't matter.
Points that I don't like. I don't know. It doesn't seem like I would enjoy it. Maybe if I saw it when I was younger, but now I just feel like I'm past the point of no return here.
Not true. Millions of Hot Topic employees would disagree with you. Henry Selick directed it. Watch it.
Is he related to Tom?
If it makes you want to watch it, yes.
Does he have a fantastic mustache? All right, I'm just going off the rails here.
Sorry.
Danny, please talk about wrestling.
No, it's okay. I'll get us back on track. So Darby Allin, talking about Darby Allin versus Kushida. So when you picture Darby Allin's like music playlist, you know, I feel like we all see. So I feel like everyone's gonna be like My Chemical Romance, and you know, he probably listens to "I Miss You" by Blink-182 because we all do, and it's he can't pretend as much as he wants to pretend. He doesn't have any pop punk on there. He does, but you know, he has AFI. He clearly Miss Murder has been his most listened to song several years. Maybe not this year, but several years. And I think under the radar, he has a lot of brand new on his playlist. You know, The Boy Who Blocked His Own Shot, 70x7, The Quiet Things No One Ever Knows. You know, those sorts of songs all over his playlist. And then I think everyone thinks he goes more like screamo, but I think the furthest he really goes into it is like A Day to Remember, and he doesn't go full on like Nick Maniotis music taste, like Pierce.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Everything, you know. Yeah, you see that we understand wrestling. That's what we're proving right now with this conversation. And you know, and Sting obviously listened to Kiss nonstop religiously. He pretty much listens to anything they play on Q104.3. He has his Led Zeppelins, you know. He only listens to Enter Sandman. That's the only Metallica song he listens to. And he listens to the Beach Boys, obviously. I was gonna say, you need some surf rock. From that rock to surf. Yeah, exactly. We get wrestling. That's what we're proving right now, understandably. And you know what? This match was great. I love Sting throwing the towel in the audience. that's the kind of little things the AEW does in matches that like sometimes you wish they'd save for bigger moments or like build to, but then as one-offs, they're just awesome. And Sting and Darby seem to do it a lot. And I'll always bring this up, but when Darby when he lost the TNT title to Miro, that time where he just looked at Sting, he was down in the corner, he looked at Sting like having that realization, like, I can't do this. And Sting just gave him the it's all right look. And they finished on the match anyway. Darby's so great at that. And I know Sting was going through the towel in here. Like when Darby had the hot tag to himself, I will never forget. That'll go down in my top 10 like AEW moments of all time. That was the coolest fucking thing to me. But this maybe didn't feel like, why did this main event the show? I don't know, but it was a cool ass match, I guess. Like sometimes you can do that. Yeah, title match, a cool ass match, awesome. Like not everything has to be completely. You would like your main events to be a little more story driven, but like sometimes just, hey, this is the title match. This is the payoff to nothing really, but besides having a cool ass match.
To be fair, they did set this up on Rampage after Darby beat Juice. Darby called out an open challenge and Kushida answered. So it was a brief setup, but there was indeed a setup.
And I think this is going to be a great title reign where Darby has, great match after great match, and he's going to give Orange Cassidy a run for his money for being the best champion in the company. And then just imagine if they have a match to unify the titles, how great that match would be. It'd be amazing.
I am a little nervous about Darby's title reign right now because Excalibur at the end, he was like, oh, if Darby keeps his pace up and he wrestles next week with this bum ass shoulder, like, how is he gonna win again? And I'm like, we're doing this already. He just won the fucking title.
Oh, but you stumbled onto a great point though, right? Darby is a bum ass shoulder, right? Which is pretty close. An injury in your shoulder can easily trickle down to an injury in your chest, almost like a pec muscle. Yep. And which one of Darby's famous rivals had a pec related injury that he's just getting over now? Oh my God. It's all coming together.
TNT champion Cody Rhodes, number 2 in the Rumble. Book it, folks.
That's
our show. Thank you so much for watching. No,
is that not how fucking Cody lost his title? Because he kept pushing it too far and too far. Now Darby's doing the same thing. Oh, you're right, Rev. You're fucking great call, bro. Great call.
Yeah, but he just got it. So like, I think it's gonna be kind of annoying. Like he lose it next week because between Samoa Joe and now Darby, like turning this, Samoa Joe was just a good champion. Darby is once again turning this into like the workhorse title. I mean, it's him and Orange now doing it for both of these titles. Orange elevating a new one, and Darby re-elevating this title that had just been in limbo since the aforementioned Cody Rhodes. So I'm really enjoying his reign, and I understand the TNT title reigns ending short, having them being shorter because it's the workhorse title and these guys are defending all the time and eventually they're going to get caught. But I wanted to have it a little bit longer for this one. It seems too early for me. Maybe like the doctors will hold him out next week or something.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to lose it yet. I think we're good on that. I'm not too worried.
We'll see. But that was Dynamite, everyone. This was obviously a very emotional episode for a lot of people, but I think it was a very good episode. We keep coming back to the fact that
James hates foreigners.
Yeah, that and the fact that this felt like a year one style of AEW Dynamite, where a lot of variety in the show, a lot of good matches, not necessarily with the most build. But, there was a lot of stuff that drove stories. We got a lot of good, just great matches out of this. And James, I really enjoyed it.
I got everything I needed out of it. I got good wrestling. I got good character development. And it carried us into the next week. Great show, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly, Danny. For a show in the middle of January, I think that's exactly what you wanted to do.
Yeah, I mean, it was the worst Dynamite of the year so far, but like that's okay. Like that's fine. If you watched my Raw review, I talked about how this past Monday wasn't like a bad episode per se, but it was very much next week's gonna be like a bigger episode. So like this week was a filler. but it wasn't like bad filler. And I think Dynamite was in a similar spot where even though they're not like saying, "Oh, next week's gonna be blow away," I just feel like they're coming off 2 really good weeks, and I just have a feeling next week will be even better. So like it's not a bad Dynamite, but it's more of a middle of the Cody Rhodes episode, if you will. But yeah, not bad. I give it like a 13 out of 20, I guess.
Fair. I feel like with the first 2 episodes of the year, I said this last week, the first one was kind of the go home show for the forum show because they made that a really big show. So this is kind of like the first episode after not a pay-per-view, but it's the first episode after a huge show that had a lot of blow-off matches. So this was a reset. We've gotten some new storylines going. A couple of the ones that haven't had their blow-off matches yet are got some advancement. We had some huge heel turns, and we've now set the table for the next few weeks until we have another big Dynamite, and then we'll repeat the cycle probably going into the pay-per-view. So I'm excited. Like James said, it was good wrestling. Filler isn't necessarily a bad thing, a filler episode that is, when you have matches and some story developments like this episode did. All right. So on that note, I would like to thank everybody so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. We will have our new episode out tomorrow. We will go a lot more in depth on Jay Briscoe and everything there. So if you want to see our reactions to it and hear us reminisce about Jay, please be sure to subscribe. You'll get that episode tomorrow. Also tomorrow, James, will there be a Gym Pack Zone?
I won't be in Canada, so yes, there will.
All right, good stuff. I'm glad you are.
Of course, you won't be in Canada. You didn't have to tell us that.
I was in Canada this week.
I think I kind of drowned out Danny there. I'm sorry. Danny, you said, of course, you aren't in Canada because you hate foreigners.
Damn it, I didn't hear him.
I'm sorry, Danny. I kind of stepped on you there.
No, it's okay. I didn't plan this bit going into this episode. James just writes the shit for us.
I was in Canada.
Well, if you'd like more of this nonsense, like I said, like and subscribe. Also, you can get even more of this nonsense on all our social media stuff, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, which is Danny's department. So if you want more of that nonsense, go there. And TikTok as well. So for Danny Hernandez and James Gisanti, my name is Nick Cummings. Thank you so much for watching, and we will catch you here next time on the Mark It Down podcast. Have a good night, everyone.